Joining me now, founder and president of the Republican Muslim Coalition, Saba Ahmed. Saba, good to see you. And former Florida Congressman and Fox News contributor, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. Colonel, I begin with you. Your reaction to Donald Trump softening his language, certainly, on the temporary ban on Muslims coming into the United States.
Well, it's good to be with you, and good morning, Dagan. I think one of the most important things you have to understand, being down here in Washington, D.C. for this week, the last thing we need is to have another commission, because that means that more taxpayer money is going to be studied about something that we know very well. I think that Donald Trump is now moving away from a populist statement that he made, and he's starting to understand reality, and he's starting to understand policy. Without a doubt, we need to look at college student visas that are being issued to countries that have Islamic terrorist organizations that operate within their borders. We have to have more scrutiny of individuals that could possibly be tied to Islamic terrorism. If you look at the examples in Paris and Brussels and, of course, all across Europe, we have a serious situation in Western civilization with terrorist sanctuaries that are being established. As a matter of fact, Director Comey just came out with a report that the FBI is looking at plus 1,000 some odd cases right here in the United States of America. So I think that's where you start with our immigration process and visa programs. Tashfeen Malik, who came here on a fiancé visa, should not have been allowed in America. So we know where to start from. We just need to get with the people in Homeland Security and start making it happen.
Saba, did you ultimately expect Donald Trump to soften the language that he used about banning Muslims at least entering the U.S. temporarily?
Yes, of course. I think it was just political campaign rhetoric, and we definitely expect a serious presidential candidate to not enact unconstitutional laws. I figured when he initially came out with it that he needs some constitutional law professors to give him some religious freedom and federal laws that ban religious discrimination lesson on that, and I think he's going to get that from Congress when he does push forward with this.
What else would you like to see from Donald Trump, the candidate, in terms of reaching out to the Muslim American community, in terms of the people he has on his team as he kind of gears up for November?
I would love to see Muslims in his administration. I hope that he'll visit a mosque, reach out to Muslim American voters in key electoral states. I think if he wants to be the president for all Americans, he has to include 7 million Muslim Americans. And we can definitely help with the national security debate. And he does not need to alienate our community by coming up with absurd religious discrimination laws.
I wanted to get Lee Carter's reaction, though, to the idea that he does soften language and he owns it. These aren't gaffes. He intentionally is backing away some from some of his most strident comments. Does it help him?
You know, I'm not sure that I think it does help him to soften it, but I think when he first puts a lot of these things out there, whether it's the wall, whether it's the ban, he uses really strong language, and it's almost like a grenade, but it starts a conversation. And many people would suggest that these are conversations that need to be had. Whether you agree or disagree, we can start having conversations about it. And so I think it's important that he does temper back and that he does start having dialogues and engages in this stuff, but he has to be who he is. If he's not authentically Donald Trump, he's going to lose his base. He's going to lose support. So yes, he's going to temper back, but don't expect these things not to keep coming out.
But the authentic Trump is the negotiator.
Exactly.
So.
But I think what you saw from Trump was a lot of these comments came during the primary. He was in the primaries to win, and he did. He beat everyone else out there. He won. I think now when you switch to Trump, the presidential candidate, the Republican nominee, I think you're going to see him soften a lot of this. But I think he accomplished what he set out to do. He said he would win. He did win. And now we're going to see him talk a lot of that back.
Colonel West, if Donald Trump softens his positions on certain issues or just says, I'm up to negotiation, it's up to discussion, can he still hang on to his most devoted supporters who got behind him during the primary season?
No, I think you actually can, because one of the things you have to look at is now you're moving away from a presidential primary candidate to someone that is going to be more focused on the actual policy. You know, you have this slogan, Make America Great. Now we have to talk about the how. And when you talk about the how, you have to be a little bit more detailed in your policy agenda, which translates to a legislative agenda, which is what I hope this is the beginning of what is going to occur today in Washington, D.C. with this meeting with Paul Ryan and others. So I don't think that anyone anyone will punish him for quote unquote softening his position. I think that he is starting to narrow and focus that position. I think if you were to say single military age Muslim males have to be highly scrutinized because of what we see happening in Europe, no one can debate that.
Speaking of Washington, D.C., House Democrats this week unveiling a new bill that would block any temporary ban on Muslims entering the country. Saba, your take on that?
Well, definitely. I mean, there are many federal laws that ban religious discrimination. You can't have blatant Muslim targeting. And I'm actually hopeful that Donald Trump is going to attract a lot more voters when he backs out of his Muslim ban. He's going to appear more presidential, and he's going to win American Muslim voters and a lot of people who are concerned about religious liberties of all people. So we're really looking forward to having Donald Trump meet with Muslim Americans, possibly visit a mosque on his campaign trail, and hopefully win the Muslim American community's votes this November.
Colonel West, I'm going to give you the final word, sir.
I think one of the great people that he should have on his advisory staff would be Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, a former serviceman in our military, and truly one of those voices that talks about how political Islam is a negative aspect on the Muslim community overall.
It was good to see you both. Thank you so much for being here so bright and early this morning. Saba Ahmed and Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. Take care, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.